Alrighty, and here we are into another scrim that I will be casting between Pandessl00ts2 on the right-hand side and Phoenix on the left. Actually, I just realized that my next scene isn't correct. So while we go into this draft really quick, I'm just going to be flipping that over. We are going to be having the Genji band out here, and that is just a generally just an easy band to take because the fact that he's just not fun to deal with at this time. He's so sticky. It's just not something that you want to be going up against in a match like this. So definitely banning it out and just saying, you know what, he's got really good poke. He's got a very good escape, and he's also got a lot of damage, especially with that Dragon Blade. And then post 16, when he picks up the ability to just sit there and swipe forever, that's extremely strong. So go ahead and they're going to ban that out on the side of Pandessl00ts2. Looks like, though, the Stukov is going to be banned out here for the team, the side of Phoenix. And Stukov being banned out here, I was watching some play with him last night, and he's just really good. In my opinion, he's very good, as he solo lanes kind of decently, it appears. First pick Malthael. All right, so Pandessl00ts2 is going to be picking up that Malthael. Awesome. I'm curious what they're going to be going into that with. What you'd actually combo that in, especially on this map where globals are so strong. I'm surprised that they didn't just go Dahaka out the gate, but getting that Malthael, maybe they have some sort of comp that they're going to be building around him and having him be, finish up that damage. And this is just me just like theory crafting and just like for funsies, but doing like a huge dots team would be kind of fun. Like if you do like Malthael, Gul'dan, and Lunara, then you run like a strong support like an Uther and a Stitches with that. Greymane, actually speaking of Stitches, Greymane Stitches is going to be picked up here. A really good combo just to run together. You have the pull from Stitches, and then you have the dive from Greymane in his Worgen form to blow up a target. Look to see them kinda... I wouldn't be surprised on the side of Phoenix to see, if it's not picked up here from Pandessl00ts2, the Uther will be picked up by Phoenix next if it's not banned out. But I'm starting to just kind of look at this, and I'm like, it's Towers of Doom. So there's the Dahaka. So there's the global threat. Are they going to be picking up a healer with this? Because that leaves them room to kind of take anything after this ban phase. They're actually going to be taking Vala here. So at this point, we're going to have Malthael, Dahaka, Vala for Pandessl00ts2. Into our second ban phase here. Pandessl00ts2, they don't have a healer, so definitely look to see that Phoenix will be going ahead and trying to limit that healer pool. They've already taken out Stukov. I don't know if everyone's figured him out yet, so they're going to go ahead and ban out the Ariel here. And that's a strong ban because Ariel pairs well with Vala, as well as the fact that she does... she's just got really good control as well. The blinds that she can get from her whip from her clap, and then the control she can get with the whip into these tight corridor transitions that people have to make between the mid and top, that can start to actually cause some of the problems. Not cause some of the problems, but they'll definitely be able to... They'll struggle in some of the situations because the R will be able to push some of the members away. So the ban here is really, really strong. Right away, they're going to go ahead and ban out the Uther and say, you know what? We don't even want Uther. So they've got something in mind here. I wonder what they're going to be running. I wouldn't be surprised to see Rhaegar paired on the side of Pandessl00ts, but for Phoenix... Actually, that's really smart. So Pandessl00ts2, they got rid of the Uther because, as I was saying at the beginning of the draft, he works really well with the combination of the Greymane and the Stitches. You get the hook into the stun from Uther. But then again, also, we have to still consider Malfurion's still on the table. So the hook into Roots is also a combination that you often see. And the Twilight Dream is extremely useful when you have to fight on these points when there's only one altar being spawned. Obviously, the team is going to be... There's going to be it's going to be a team fight at that point. So I wonder what they'll be going and picking up here. They will actually take the Rhaegar themselves in some sort of... Alrighty, we're gonna have Kael'thas and Rhaegar picked up. Oh, that's really interesting. I really like the draft on the side of Phoenix. It's seemingly, in my opinion, standard because you've just got Greymane. He's a it seems like it's just all the kind of the top people at this point. But Kael'thas making his way back in right here. He does provide a little bit more into that combo with the Stitches, and he also helps out the Greymane with a little bit of extra damage, and the team fighting and the poke that you can get from the Kael'thas is extremely strong too. But this is the last two picks for Pandessl00ts2. They're definitely going to be needing a healer here. So the Rhaegar's been taken out. Malfurion's still open. Lucio's still open. I actually think that they're going to be going Anubarak and probably Malfurion? Alrighty, nailed the last two for these guys, but it was probably the most obvious choice that you would take at this in this phase of the game. So they have the range damage from Vala, the melee from Malthael. So if he can get into that backline Kael'thas, Malthael's going to be something you do not want to deal with. It's going to be very scary too. All right, so last pick here on the side of Phoenix. Something to round out their comp. I think Sonya would be pretty good here, but maybe having a global threat might be better, so a Falstead would be an okay choice. You can run the solo Stitches, but I think the Sonya would be pretty helpful. Maybe actually even doing Arthas here would be pretty strong. It just depends on what they want to, if they want to have more of a bruiser, if they want to have more of a tank. We're actually going to be having the Diablo being drafted here. Interesting. I guess with those tight corridors that they're going to have to be rotating through, Diablo does work because he can stun people out into those corridors as well. So that's a really good pick. All right. Let me just make sure I'm going to see the names. Okay, cool. Alrighty, and into our first game we are going. On the left-hand side, we have Phoenix with Valkyl on Stitches, Exile on Greymane, Chevalin on Diablo, Mad Dog on Kael'thas, and Goatchez on Rhaegar. On the right-hand side, we are going to have Pandessl00ts2 with... Oh, and I need to fix that text box. Why are you doing this to me? There we go. That's better. Alright, so we have Pandessl00ts2 with Veteran Wings on Malthael, Rexpa on Vala, Hedgie on Dahaka, Zalchio on Malfurion, and Titan's King on Anubarak. This is gonna be really interesting. They don't have a global on the side of Phoenix, whereas Pandessl00ts2, they have that option to rotate around the map in any way they kind of want, and then just have the Dahaka just every 45 seconds as a brush stalker. So he can really he can push up the waves quite well. And this map it's not super snowbally because the only way you can win it is from the altars, but at the same time it is because if you do get that level advantage and you start pushing into these towers and you get the barrage starting where it's all the 6 towers are captured to one side, to one team, it fires a shot every like 5 seconds, I believe. No, I think that's too long. Maybe it's 3. All I know is that it's once one of them hits the enemy core, another one gets fired. So it's on repeat. It's not extremely fast, but it's on repeat. That's definitely something that they're going to need to worry about. But here we are loading into the game. I did not check to see. We actually already have a DC right off the bat. Look to see a potential pause here while he's reconnecting. We'll look into some of these. All right. So we are going to have a quick pause here. No need to show any of... no need to hide the game right now. Typically, I was watching some... Oh, thunderstorm going on at their house. Ooh. I was watching some other streams, and there were some people talking about how some people will actually wait for the stream to catch up so they can actually see what's going to be... like where people are positioned on the map and how they're already rotating, but we have a 90-second delay on this, so if anything, it's not going to really matter. But it looks like I'm just reading some of these chats. Looks like it's going. It's just it's always I love casting these guys because it's there's always just like the best. Just there's always a dick joke somewhere in there, and it's just the best. Oh right. So in the meantime, I'm gonna grab some water really quick, and we'll just be waiting for a reconnection.
Welcome back.
Oh, all right. Well, it looks like we are back into the game already.
The battle begins in 10 seconds.
All right, all right, so now we are loading this. Kael'thas is, I was just reading, I was like, oh, I didn't realize that, I forget that Zalchio is in the same state as me, and it's like 60 degrees. It's hotter where I live, and I live like in the mountains where it should be cooler. But we're actually going to be having the one thing I wanted to check in this first level is that Kael'thas is going convection stacks here. So that is going to be something that we definitely are going to want to see if he is going to be aiming to complete those. Titans King is taking aggressive positioning here. He does get pulled through, but there is an engagement here from the enemy team. Pandessl00ts onto Phoenix. There is the drag onto the Stitches. Titans King is really deep here, and Nubarak will be falling. And that is going to be a first kill for Phoenix. And the blind hook goes out, but it just barely misses the Malthael. No, we're going to be having the Dahaka going into top. It looks like we have a 3-man in mid waiting for the... Okay, so we're going to have the Kael'thas Diablo in mid. Rhaegar and Stitches are going to be in bottom together. There is the hook onto the Malthael. There's the root from the Malfurion, but it looks like they will just be able to get out of this engagement without a problem. In mid, we are having... whoever put down the bird, that's the best spray in the game. Because it's the one that I use, but it's also because it looks like a little Ganymede. We do have the dive from Titans King onto the Kael'thas. There is the root onto him as well. Malthael does get his shroud onto him. Diablo will be falling. There is a stun onto Kael'thas. Do they follow up? They will not. While we see some of these rotations in the first altars coming out, let's check some of these questing talents, how they've been coming along already. Dahaka's working through his first level. Kael'thas is actually already at 8 stacks, so 12 more and he will be fine. But we did just see during that last engagement that he did take a significant amount of damage, and that is going to... it's something that I would be worried about. The hook does come out. Vala is getting collapsed upon a little bit here. The root is there to zone them away. We are going into our first altar phase here. So on the left-hand side, we're going to be having Greymane capturing that one. Diablo will be zoning away the enemy team. Stitch is going over here trying to cancel out, hedging. It looks like he will actually get the cancel. So the left is captured. The hook does come up. Well, let's take a peek in this bottom. We do have Veteran Wings currently hiding in the bush. There is the channel from the Rhaegar. It looks like we're actually having Dahaka going back up into top lane. He's just going to be going ahead and soaking up a little bit here. There's the hook onto the Malfurion. The Malthael gets into that backline, dealing an extreme amount of damage. Malfurion, extremely low on his mana and health. He will have to back away here. But we are going to be having Kael'thas falling, so that will be him losing his stacks. Vala will be falling as well. Greymane. Is there a dig from a Nubarak? Oh, Greymane is just kiting these guys away. Save that Stitches. Yeah, I don't even know if it was a basic attack. That's why I was laughing. I was just like, did he get him with the Dark Swarm or did he get him with a basic attack? Because I didn't see Dahaka swing that massive dinosaur arm out. So that will be Kael'thas going back to 0 stacks, but he did get a couple, I think, before he died. So he, spawned with 2 already. Dahaka is going to be in bottom at this point, pushing up that wave. We're going to have Stitches going into top to just soak up that experience and push back a little bit. And currently we have about a level difference. Now there is an extra kill on the side of Pandessl00ts2, and the kills over time, obviously the experience is exponential, so it's ramping up as the game goes along. So these later game kills are going to provide a little bit more experience than that first game kill, or first level kill on the Anub'arak here. This is where we're starting to see some of this difference in XP. There is the drag onto the Rhaegar, and he will actually be falling here. Vala is a little bit low. She will have to back off a little bit. Titan's King dropping significantly, but he will get healed up from the Malfurion. We are actually going to have the Greymane falling here. Dahaka was getting just heckled by some of the members of Phoenix, but it looks like now that Titan's King will be chasing in, and they will be confirming a second kill onto Kael'thas. In this bottom lane, we are going to be having this Sapper camp currently pushing up. They're trying to clear it out before it does too much to the towers, but Diablo is actually going to be rooted and booted and killed here. So, actually, the death animation for that was too funny because he was getting pushed up by the Anub'arak, and then as he was getting pushed up, I heard the multi-shot from the Vala go off, and he just kept kind of going up, but his body just stayed still. It was poor Stitches, and we are actually going to have another pause coming out here, and I'm going to be going ahead and switching over, and we will be right back. didn't see that countdown go. The countdown went way too quick there, but we are already back into the game. Alrighty, and so here we are. So the first tower was captured by Pandessl00ts2. And that's not going to work out later in the game when I'm describing things. So this bottom altar will be captured, and that's going to go ahead and give 5 shots over for Pandessl00ts2. So currently, they've only lost one. One of the altars. And with that, and as well as the kills that they've been getting, they are definitely going to be already achieving their 10s. Let's take a quick peek at some of these 10 towns while we're just having some of these rotations between the lanes. We actually have the Isolation from Dahaka, the Twilight Dream from the Malfurion, the Rain of Vengeance from Vala. Looks like Anub'arak actually went for the Beetles, and Malthael went, I believe that's Tormented Souls? Yeah, and that's the Locust Swarm, not Beetles, Locust Swarm. So Stitches will be hooking and missing here. At this point, they are going to be controlling this bottom lane, and I've seen some plays before where a lot of teams will actually... They push into this bottom, and then they just prioritize the bottom lane the entire game. They don't let up in this bottom lane at all, and they get the camps and they push into that. So I'm wondering. No, it looks like they're just going to be playing. They see that the team is on that tower, so they're going to go ahead and push into this mid, guarantee another gate. If not, no, they can't. I don't think they can get the tower in time unless they force a team fight. Granted, they do have 10s. Kael'thas will be getting another convection stack out there. Just checking in with those really quick. He's at 7. Greymane's starting to work through his his Gilneas Cocktail questing town at 7, and this is going to be a boss right away on the side of Pandessl00ts2. So that will confirm 4 more shots onto the enemy core. They could sniff this out, but at the same time, they do not have their 10s yet. So if they do, Zalchino, I need to ask him exactly how to pronounce his name, but I think it's Zalchino. He gets the zoning from against the enemy team. There is the silence onto the Kael'thas, and they will be confirming that kill. Trying to see both these fights at the same time because there was the isolation from the Dahaka, and almost the Diablo died there, but Greymane will actually be falling, and Malthael died somewhere, and I'm sorry that I missed that. I was trying to see the 2 team fights at once. Vala will be vaulting forward, and okay. I was wondering if she was going to be able to get that...
The altars have risen.
That kill onto the Rhaegar. So we are having Titan's King. Diablo does use his ultimate to delay, but it actually does not. It's not in time against Veteran Wings. Not Veteran Wings. Titan King. I apologize. So that is going to be 10 shots against Phoenix right now. And at this point, what they really need to be... I was going to say they should take a fight before 13, but at that point, I mean, even then... with the Dahaka soaking these lanes and Malthael soaking that top, even if they do take a fight, at this point, well, it would be 3v5, so they do have the numbers advantage, but it looks like Malthael is already rotating into this, so that for the slight moment they will have the advantage. The Phoenix does come out, so it is currently zoning some of the members away. Rexbot is getting quite low, but he will be getting healed up from the Malfurion. There is the deep flank from the Stitches, and actually Vala will be dying here. The Ancestral does connect onto the Stitches. They're fighting over this point so hard. Diablo is so low, as so is Hedgie, and Hedgie will actually be dying here. And that's actually going to be the camp going over to Phoenix, and that is also going to be Malthael falling as well. And at this point, we are going to be having... Is there a hook? It just... Okay, so it misses. The ice block is... Oh my god. These guys, they walk away from some of these engagements with no health. I was casting them last night, and Titan's King, the tank... their tank was getting in engagements, and he had like a sliver, and his bar would just not drop. It was the craziest thing. So the heals coming out from Zalchio, just top notch, and it looks like they actually ended up getting... Overall, they were the winners of that engagement. There is a flank onto the Anub'arak. Greymane will be falling here. They do get the Flame Strike onto him, and they split the Vala away. Anub'arak does have the burrow towards his teammate, but there is the hook back onto him. He will be rotating up into his Vala. He does get the flip. There is the Kael'thas Flame Strike, which will confirm the kill. Diablo does have his Apocalypse. There is the burrow from the Dahaka. There is the tongue to hold the Diablo in place, but he does have Soul, so he'll be back up in 3 seconds. Kael'thas does get a Whirlwind out to just save his Stitches, and Stitches walks away with... Can I just click on him and find out? No. He walks away with just barely any health. We're actually going to be having Vala going in here, and Kael'thas will be falling as well, and that is before he could finish his stacks. So Kael'thas will once again be losing all of those convection stacks he's currently worked for. And this is starting to look a little dire on the side of Phoenix. Pandessl00ts2 are definitely controlling the map currently. They've lost a couple engagements with their aggressive posturing and team fighting, but I think it was just because of the fact that there was just a slight slow rotation, it seemed. You know, that Malthael in that last engagement on the sapper camp in the bottom left was a little bit just late, but I mean, nothing on him. He was rotating from top. There's a huge silence from the Malthael, and the Ancestral does connect onto, I think it was a full Stitches, honestly. And he will be able to get away from this without a problem, I believe. And that is going to be the altar going over to Pandessl00ts2. And with that, we're actually going to be having them rotate into top, and it looks like they're going to be pushing into this one, and they're going to be aiming maybe to go for the barrage. I'm thinking that Dahaka might just burrow into bottom and then try and take that. That would be my assumption. Boss isn't up for another minute or so. They could... Alright, so it looks like they're going to go ahead and grab this camp, push into that. We are going to be having the Dahaka going into the bottom lane. He will be pushing that up. Malthael is going into mid, and he's going to be just soaking up that experience as best as he can. And then... Okay, so he's going to go ahead, just push up that wave, soak up the experience, and it looks like they're going to be walking that... this sapper camp in to confirm 3 more points of damage. But Phoenix is here too for the deny. They do not have 16 yet, so they play extremely safe. There is the death zone, so they can hook someone into it, but the hook did not connect. So they do clear up the sapper camp. It buys them a little bit of time, but at this point, this could potentially be game ending for Phoenix. There was the Gilneas cocktail to scout that bush out really quickly. Hedgie is already in bottom on that Dahaka. Boss is up as well, so this is do or die right now for Phoenix. They've definitely got to get a couple critical picks here. So there is the Gorge onto the Malthael. He is currently being just in the body of Stitches. He does actually have the Tormented Souls. He does get flipped over, but with that Tormented Souls, this percentile that he's getting, he's dropping so low. Does he fall? He actually ends up falling here, and that's actually going to be 2 members on the side of Phoenix falling as well. 3 members, 4 members, 5 members, and that is going to be a team wipe at this point, and the GGs are already called out. Alrighty, and that is our first game going over to Pandessl00ts2. We're going to take a quick break, set up the next lobby, and we will see you then. Alrighty, and we are going into our second game already. They are just burning through these games. Alrighty, and they swapped it out on me. I saw that, you guys. On the left-hand side, we have Pandessl00ts2, and on the right, we have Phoenix. This is our second game. The first game went over to Pandessl00ts2. So Brax's holdout. I'm wondering if the Dahaka is going to be banned out here, because Dahaka is not extremely useful isn't the right word, but he's not a priority in this map, and a lot of globals aren't because of the fact that the laning isn't too far apart. So to do some sort of rotation with your team isn't that hard, and typically we see a 1-4 on this map where you have a strong solo laner in top, like your Greymane or your maybe Stukov. He seems like a solo laner. I'm not sure yet. I haven't seen enough play of him. Malthael is actually going to be banned out here, so I'm wondering if the Malthael from the last game was just so strong that they were just like, we don't want to deal with this. Or, and I always say this because it's Brax's holdout, they want to take him away because it's percentile damage, because you can draft Cho'Gall. So maybe Phoenix is looking to get Cho'Gall themselves. We'll see as the draft evolves here. For Pandessl00ts, I'm curious to see what they're going to be banning here, what they really don't want to deal with. From what I've seen a lot is a lot of Genji bans. It's if they don't pick it, they typically ban it, it seems. And here, not having that first pick priority is going to be a little difficult for them. So I'm wondering if they're going to be... Okay, so they are going to be banning out the Genji here. So that's very good. If you don't want to deal with it, or if you're not going to play it, why not just get rid of it, you know? It's definitely something that you want to consider when you're going into your draft ban phase. So first pick here on the side of Phoenix. I wonder if they're going to prioritize the Stitches again. No, they're going to actually be they're going to be prioritizing the Dahaka on their end. And so Dahaka is a strong solo laner, and he does have the ability for the global. It's just, in my opinion, the global on this map. I have Discord open on another monitor, and someone just posted a funny photo, and it got to me. I got to turn that off. So, alrighty.
Denied.
So, Gul'dan Ariel. So, Ariel's just... She's a pretty strong healer. Gul'dan's got very good wave clear on this map. And as I was kind of mentored a little bit on my drafting, he's got very good AoE. So he definitely provides very good poke and damage to the beacon phasing, as well as when you actually have the Zerg wave coming in, he provides extremely good clear with that Fel Flame that you can get out. But at the same time, are we going Cho'Gall on this? Because it's a possibility. The next pick for Pandessl00ts2 on the left-hand side is a double pickup, so they could go Cho'Gall themselves. The Ariel Gul'dan seems to work, but actually a Nubrek is going to be picked up on the side of Phoenix with the Greymane once again, and we're probably going to be seeing Dahaka actually in top lane by himself as the solo laner, and we're going to have the Greymane and Nubrek and the other two in bottom. I'm just theorizing like what else you'd be running with the Gul'dan. And also, we're going into our second ban phase here, so you definitely want to ban something that would be strong against Cho'Gall, but at the same time you don't want to show your draft. So they're just going to ban out Stukov. They're going to say, we don't want to deal with this. And actually, Stukov does provide very good zoning on a map like this, where you actually have to rotate onto those points, or if you get peeled away from your team, Stukov provides very good zoning with just the silence that he provides into the ground. Okay, so there could be the Cho'Gall ban here. Or they could just try and limit the melee assassin pool. Because, like, Alarak is a possibility as well, but they don't have a tank. So maybe if they don't take the Stitches themselves, banning it out here wouldn't be a bad idea. Leoric. I'm confused by the Leoric ban. I'm curious what they're going to be running that would warrant a Leoric ban. Are you going to do it? Pandessl00ts2, are you going to do it? Is this going to be a Cho'Gall? You seem to be set up for it. Because then they can just pick up like a... like an Arthas wouldn't be bad with it, I don't think. The roots that you'd get from the Arthas would be pretty useful. If you did like, yeah, if you did Cho'Gall Arthas, that's definitely what I think that they're going to be going at this point. But then again, the last time I casted them on this map, they went Rexar, so I can't predict this team ever. We're going to have Murden picked up here, so this is not going to be a Cho'Gall map. Murden into, then I'm thinking maybe Alarak? Falstead. Okay, so I wonder who they're going to be picking up as their... Or if they're not going to be picking up a melee assassin and they're just going to be picking up a strong tank and just protecting their back line. They could also pick up Murky if they wanted to. I know that they wouldn't, but it'd be interesting to see them play Murky. I don't think I've never casted a Murky game, as well as a Lost Vikings game. I think those are the only two heroes that I really rarely ever get to cast or even see myself. Alrighty, so into our last two picks for Phoenix. what would round out this comp? They're going to need a healer. Rhaegar is still available. Uther's still available. Actually, Uther and... I'm dumb. Brightwing, I guess. So they're going to go for the double global and Jaina for their mage for the wave clear. Or, I don't know. Wave clear's not... The Zerg wave. She's strong against the Zerg wave because of the... her 2 abilities have AoE damage, so it's very good at just kind of bursting down the Zerg as they approach the gate, as well as the Blizzard, which has 3 drops, I guess, or 3... I don't know what to call those, and I'm getting stuck on that. But anyways, it drops 3 times, so Blizzard is definitely something that you can utilize to get the Zerg wave melted a little bit. And it also helps with some of these team fights. Slowing these members down and polymorphing them really gives the ability for Greymane to exceed here. So look to see stuns from Anub'arak and Dahaka. Well, the stuns from Anub'arak are going to be strong, and the tongue from Dahaka is going to be interesting to see who they're going to be peeling away from the team.
I serve.
And they're actually going to be picking up Zeratul into the Brightwing. So if Brightwing doesn't take Peekaboo, which I don't know, like, on a map like this, where you can take almost all the Z talents for Brightwing, so you can get the cooldown reduction at 1, shielding at 4, and Peekaboo at 7, or maybe I have 4 and 7 mixed up. But those are a lot of really, really strong talents for Brightwing that could counteract the Zeratul a little bit. Huh. Interesting. This is an interesting comp. So here we go into our second game. On the left-hand side, we have Rexpa on Gul'dan, Veteran Wings on Zeratul, Titans King on Muradin, Zachio on Ariel, and Hedgie on Falstad. That is Pandessl00ts2. On the right-hand side, we are going to have Valkiel on Dahaka, Exile on Greymane, Goatchez on Brightwing, Siobhan on Anub'arak, and, Mad Dog on Jaina. That is Phoenix. Alrighty, and here we go into our second game. Let's take a peek at some of these first level talents. So Muradin's going to be going for the buff to his trait. Gul'dan is going to be, as we talked about in draft, doing that Pursuit of Flame to get his Fell Flame a little bit stronger, and it clears up that Zerg wave so well. And even then, when you're pushing with the Zerg wave, throwing that out constantly is such a strong talent. Alright, Righteous Assault by the Ariel. The one class that I really think I need to focus on learning a lot of their talents and what the icons are is support, because I barely ever play support. Like, I can tell you Falstad took the and this is he went AA build, but what is the actual name? As I start to brag about it, I completely blank out. I have to look it up now. Seasoned Marksman, of course. It's like one of those things you once you brag about it, you start to just go, you instantly forget it, and then when you're like, oh, I need to know what it is, the moment you read it, you're like, duh, of course. So there is going to be danger pings in that bottom area already. Zeratul actually went for the Vorpal Blade at 1, so he will be able to really get sticky onto some of these members. We do have Titans King just sitting in this bush, and I wonder if there was a... Okay, I thought it was a disconnect for a second there, because he was just kind of standing still. But we do have the stun onto the Dahaka. In top lane, we still have the Zeratul Falstad. Okay, so the Dahaka is currently going up into top. He is behind the Falstad. Mad Dog did currently leave the game. There is a Z from the Brightwing. But it looks like okay, they joined right away, so it wasn't that big of a deal. Alright, so with that, 3 in top and 3 in bottom, or excuse me, 2 in top and 3 in bottom, we're going to be having this engagement between, looks like we're going to Greymane, Jaina, and Anub'arak up against the Ariel, Muradin, and the Gul'dan. And one of the things that probably you can notice on this map often is the globe denial in this bottom lane area. To take that away from the enemy team, even if you don't need it, is extremely strong. That way, they just in a team fight, they don't have that option, but we do have Zeratul coming in here. He is in the bush. I would not be surprised to see him focusing a lot of his damage, I was going to say, onto the Jaina, but actually the Anub'arak is right there, and he's a little too far forward. They get him picked out. There's going to be a dead bug. Brightwing will be rotating back into bottom, saving that Z for the next time she's going to be needing, or it, I guess, is going to be needing to go top. And they're actually going to take Unfurling Spray at 1, so they just want the increased range rather than the cooldown on the Z. Dahaka is coming up, or coming through here, body blocking the Gul'dan, but the whip from the Ariel saves the Gul'dan from getting body blocked too bad. There is a huge corruption that goes out. Does not connect onto as many members as I thought it was going, but we do have the Nubrak coming back here at this point. Falstad is currently in top still. We do have the Muradin in the back line, really just pulling them onto that, well, pulling them away from this chase. Gul'dan is providing a lot of that damage, though. So a lot of this poke damage onto these points is extremely strong. Zeratul getting really, really sticky onto the Greymane. He does have the blink to get out, so he will be fine. Looks like at this point we are having the top being held by the Falstad. And Gul'dan already just finished his Fell Flame 2 minutes and 53 seconds into the match, so he's going to be able to throw those out so quickly and deal so much damage that is going to confirm the kill onto the Dahaka. But Falstad comes in at the last second and gets the pick onto the Jaina and the Greymane as well. And that is going to be, I would assume, a full charge Zerg Wave. By the time that they get up and they get to the points and they channel them, I don't think it's going to be quick enough. But Dahaka does actually have Burrow. Brightwing does have the Z, so I did forget about the fact that they have 2 globals. They're already on the point. They stop it at about 68% in the top. In bottom, we're just having them push up into that wave as best as they can. Just take a peek at this right now in top. Falstad will be getting out fine, no big deal. And the one thing that I want to note really quickly, while they're getting this camp, and we're going to take it, just open up some of these towns so we can take a peek at those. Pushing down this gate right here was extremely strong for Pandessl00ts2 because of the fact that if we look at the little mini-map here, there is the little blue icon in the bottom. That signals that the Zerg wave will be coming up through the bottom wave, and with that, if they take out the gate, it provides a stronger push, and they can guarantee more damage onto the fort. With that, though, we are actually having the points channeled for Pandessl00ts2 to 98%, 100% actually. I thought the Brightwing's going to cancel it. Muradin does leap in, body blocks the Anubrak, stuns him out, and he is not going anywhere but hell. I don't know. I don't know anything. I don't know enough about the Warcraft lore, but I know like he's like super evil and people just murder him constantly. I had a friend who used to play WoW and would just raid and kill him all the time. And meanwhile, while I'm talking about WoW, we're going to have the Brightwing and the Jaina just being caught out and slowed down and just wiped off of the map currently. And this is still about a 75% Zerg wave pushing onto this keep gate. So if Phoenix plays their cards right, they can save the keep and only lose this gate. But at this point, without any of their members, without all the members there, this is definitely a difficult thing to go into. And the other factor is, too, I'm sure Dahaka sees it by now. I was going to say they weren't really sure where the Zeratul was. And Nubrak does have the last second burrow out. And oh my god, this is going to be a confirmed keep as well. These Guardians will be backing up the Falstad. Zeratul will be falling in top. I apologize for not seeing that, but this bottom wave is a little bit more important currently. We are going to be having 7s achieved for Phoenix here, but at the same time, we are having almost 10s on the side of Pandessl00ts2. So we do have the Falstad using his flight to go top. He will be soaking that up really quickly. Titans King will be going back, and looks like Rexpa will be just going and tapping as well. In top lane, we have Valkyrie versus the Hedgie. He will be going ahead and grabbing that globe just to deny that extra little bit. But Ariel is here in the bushes. Do they get there's the tongue onto the Ariel. Falstad is coming in here. They are holding, they have their 10s on the side of Pandessl00ts, so we do have the Horrify from the Gul'dan, the Void Prism from the Zeratul. Muradin's currently holding. We actually have, I'm skipping over Ariel. We have Hinterland Blast from Hedgie. Excuse me, not Hedgie, from the Falstad. I mean, it's Hedgie playing Falstad, but still, I just got so excited. I don't think no, I did cast one Chair League match where they did a Graviton Surge into the Hinterland Blast, and that was extremely strong. So I'm curious to see what they're going to be comboing this with. The Void Prism is there. They are getting a ton of damage onto the Greymane. There is a 2-man Hinterland Blast, I believe. Because it's 25-second cooldown on 120. No, that was a 3-man Hinterland Blast because it was on like a 40-second cooldown almost. So that is going to be, looks like they're going to be actually marching their way into the core currently. The death timers are so short, though. Can they actually take this? They do have their 10s, but at the same time, they're fighting under the core near their Nexus. And there is the polymorph and the combo from the Jaina onto the Murden. He is dropping extremely low here. He does have to pop Avatar. He will be getting out, though. It looks like he will be able to get his trait procced. And they're just going to take a little bit of damage off of this. Zeratul will actually be falling here. And it looks like we're going to have a full retreat for Pandessl00ts2. They're going to be having to play this safe. Dahaka does come in from the back. There is the whip onto him. He does use his essence. Murden does jump in here. Body blocks the Dahaka, and he will be falling. We do have a Hinterland Blast from the Falstad, which will be taking the Jaina down to half health. And then Murden jumps in with the follow-up stun. Do they get the kill? They do. And this is actually them pushing back onto this core once again. They do have a triple catapult minion wave with them, so they're going to go ahead, push this into the keep, or excuse me, into the core. Falstad is going to be flying top to control that beacon phase. Zeratul is already in bottom for that one, and they're going to be going ahead and taking these aggressive camps on the side of Pandessl00ts from Phoenix. Phoenix now back up, and with their full members, they're going to have to push up this bottom wave. Because they don't want to deal with the catapults on their core. But at the same time, the gate is already down in the top against them. They do have the keep still to defend, so the Zerg wave will not be pushing against them too much. But they really just need to play extremely safe on the side of Phoenix, soak up for their 10s, and then try and take a team fight. Or at least have the 10s before the Zerg wave happens, because without it, it's going to be extremely difficult. We do have the Dahaka here getting chased down by the Zeratul and the Ariel, but in mid, gotta check both waves. We're having Murden going in once again against some of these members. Dahaka looks like he got out safe in top. The Horrify is there. Exile is getting caught out, but he will have the disengage from the Worgen form. That's going to be another 100% on the side of Pandessl00ts2. Murden did just go in the bush. He is just using his trait to just get his health back up. There is the cocoon onto one of the members of Pandessl00ts2, but with that just ending now, the Ariel is going to be fine. The whip does come out. There's the cursed bullet onto one of the members of Pandessl00ts2, but that is not going to be working out for them, unfortunately. They did have their 10s, but at this point it looks like they're going to be rotating up with the Zerg wave into this keep, and they are just going to be pushing into this keep gate. The Brightwing does come back in 4 seconds and can Z in, but without the Emerald Winter or anything to push any of them back, that's going to be difficult. Falstad actually ends up confirming the kill onto the Dahaka, and this is going to be... Excuse me, that's a Void Prism onto the Brightwing. There is currently no healing. The Ring of Frost connects onto the Zeratul, but there is a huge Hinterland Blast. They actually confirm the kill onto the Jaina as she's just about to go back into to her Nexus. Excuse me, Hall of Storms. And Anub'arak will be falling there as well. Brightwing just spinning around, and I think they know that this is going to be a death march into the core. Will be falling here as well. The Cat Spray is there. The Horrify away from the Nexus. The adaptation is used and procced in time, but it looks like with this camp, we are going to be having the core slowly falling here. Dahaka is just trying to delay this as long as possible to get some of their members back to just maybe burst down some of the people on the side of Pandessl00ts2, but it will not be happening, and that is going to be GG's, the second game going over to Pandessl00ts2. Alrighty, and here we go into Infernal Shrines, our third game of the day. Oh, I didn't check who was on what side. Dang it! Let's see if I can message one of them. I believe they're on the left-hand side again, but I will look. I'm just going to message one of the guys really quickly. I just have to change one little asset here. We are going into Infernal Shrines. One of the things that's actually kind of powerful in this map is Sylvanas. She's not played that often, but on this map she actually has... She's viable on this map. Because of the fact that if you do get the push with the Punisher, she can become extremely strong. Where are my messages? Okay. So the Dahaka is going to be banned out here, so they're going to go ahead and deny that global pressure. And I believe Phoenix is on the right. But Malthael's going to be actually banned out here. Interesting. So we're going to have another Malthael ban. Genji will be picked up. Huh. Okay. So Genji first pick here on the, I think the side of Phoenix. I'm wondering. I'm wondering what they're going to be trying to combo that into on this on Infernal Shrines. But yeah, the Sylvanas is interesting. But we're actually going to be having Kerrigan and Uther picked up here. Now, Kerrigan is she's a very strong pick on this map because of the fact that she clears these shrines so quickly with her ability to just jump from skeleton to defender to the next with her Q. That Ravage that she has, I think it's a 1 talent. It might be 4 though. The cooldown reduction. No, I think it's a 1 talent. The Ravage at 1, where you can get the cooldown reduction. You literally just sit there and hit Q, and you just take the entire shrine by yourself while your team pushes up. And that also, the Kerrigan seems like a very Pandessl00ts2 pick. So that's why I'm leaning on I'm thinking they're on the left. Part of me hopes none of them message me back so I can actually try and figure this out. Stitch is going to be picked up here with the Kael'thas. So currently, they have a lot of... They have some good CC on the side of Phoenix. Malfurion currently being hovered here. And that's actually really strong because banning out Malfurion counteracts the Stitches combo. There is no Uther for the stun follow-up, so they could do a Tyrande, but then they would be giving up that slot for... Because well, Tyrande Starfall might be something that you can utilize on this map. But actually, Arthas is being hovered for the ban here. Cool. All right, so Malfurion's actually being banned out, and I prefer that over the Arthas. I don't think Phoenix is going to be taking Arthas into... I don't think I've actually seen them play Arthas today. So this is definitely some strong picks and bans here. Really trying to counteract a lot of the things that they're picking up. Nubarak will be banned out, so they're trying to limit the tank pool against Pandessl00ts2. They've used so many different names that every time I go to say their name, I have to go through all the names that they've used and go, nope, it's this one right here. So, but at the same time, if Phoenix is on the right, I'm surprised that they didn't ban out the Murden, because we've actually seen the Murden being played. Well, we've seen a Nubarak as well, and maybe they, with that... Actually, you know what? Murden isn't really a priority ban because of Nubarak banning him out. He has that Nubarian armor, and that counteracts... That anti-synergizes with the Kael'thas, so it's a smarter ban to just take out the Nubarak at this point. And we're actually going to have Jaina coming in here too, so that's going to be the AoE damage that they're getting on the side of Pandessl00ts2. But what do you pair into this? Stitches is gone. Arthas is available, and Lunara is going to be picked up. What are you guys going to take for your tank? I think it's going to be the Arthas, because Arthas is really good on the shrines as well as the lockdown that he has. He can if Genji is a little bit too deep, there is the lockdown that you can get from the Arthas onto him, and that would, you could just blow him up, and so the whole in and out that you get from the Genji can be mitigated from the stuns, the slows, the roots. It's terrifying on the side of Pandessl00ts2 the damage that they have, the dive that they have, and the lockdown that they currently have. And like lockdown, like even what Zool? So this is new Zool. I haven't actually seen new Zool, so I'm curious to see how he's going to be working out in this level of play. The wave clear that he provides is extremely strong, and that can be utilized onto the shrines as well. The W is a really, really good tool, but what are you going to go for your tank? I think it's going to be Arthas, but that's just me. Like it has to be Arthas. Huh. What do they take here? I'm just trying to think of like all the, because the only reason that I'm like dead certain that the left side is Pandessl00ts2 is because of like just the draft that they've done. Like this is a very them draft, whereas on the side of Phoenix is a very standard. Murden's going to be picked up here again. The stuns that you get from Murden are just as good. I think the roots might have been a little bit stronger from the Arthas, but maybe they have some sort of synergy with the Murden a little bit better, and that's just a stronger tank for them. But definitely on the right-hand side, it's very much more what you'd see from a draft standard-wise, whereas on the left-hand side, it's very theory-crafted and interesting from Pandessl00ts2. No! I'm completely wrong! Wow! Okay, so actually, on the right-hand side, we're going to have Pandessl00ts. I have to change all my assets over again. So, I will do the introductions when we get into the game. I just have to flip-flop everything over. These guys are just juking me all day. I was bragging about it, I think a day or so ago, that like one team was trying to juke me, but I was like keeping up with it. This time, no, I went to the beach today and I relaxed a little too much, I guess. So we're going to have Phoenix on the left. And I just got to update the score numbers. This is why sometimes I really need to figure out just a standard co-caster. That way when I do all this, they can just take care of all the talking. Alrighty, so we are loading into the game. On the left-hand side, we are going to have Phoenix with Valkia on Murden, Goethez on Uther, Mad Dog on Jaina, and Exile on Kerrigan, and Chevelin on Lunara. On the right-hand side, we are going to have Pandessl00ts2 with Rexpa on Kael'thas, Hedgie on Zool, Zalchio on Rhaegar, Veteran Wings on Genji, and Titans King on Stitches.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We cannot tarry.
Alrighty, and here we go into our third game. Jaina will be checking out that bush with her Frostbolt. We're actually having her go into the Frostbolt build. Uther is going to be taking Silver Touch at 1. We have a small skirmish starting here. Titans King will be taking a significant amount of damage from the Jaina AoE, but he will get healed up just fine from the Rhaegar. Kael'thas will be getting quite a bit of damage onto this Murden. There is the Genji just really diving deep into this team. Genji just getting so low, but he will be able to walk out alive. The slows did end just towards the end as he was getting towards the gate. Zool will be going into bottom. Kael'thas will be actually going Mana Addict. I just glanced over. Stitches is going to a Slam build. Murden is using his Third Wind buff. And this Kerrigan, really quickly. She actually went Sharpened Blaze at 1. Interesting. So the left-hand side Phoenix, this is extremely terrifying, at least in my opinion, because of the fact of just it's how much damage and shrine control you have. It feels like they've got the better shrine fight, but team fight-wise, the Genji is something that I'm afraid of, because the Genji diving in and confirming some of those kills, there's a lot of squishy members on the side of Phoenix, and they need to play extremely safe. And Uther, I think a like Tassadar instead of a Lunara at this point, or maybe a Tassadar instead of the Jaina might have been the route to go, but we're actually having Genji falling to the tower, unfortunately, and this will be right as the spray comes out. The spray is actually just like so perfect too at the same time. It's just like Genji died and it's like spray. So we are having this shrine coming up here. There is the hook out, but it does not connect onto any of the members. Kael'thas will be getting a combo onto this Gina. She will be falling extremely low. The Rhaegar does come in, takes a little bit of damage, but will be confirming the kill. Meanwhile, in mid, this Zul is getting a... Okay. He got stunned, but there was no follow-up damage onto him, so he will be getting out just fine. So there is... I was going to say, I think Rex is going to be... Yep. Okay, so the Kael'thas will be hearthing back to get full on his mana for this engagement. They are going to be about almost halfway through on the side of Pandessl00ts2, so they're definitely going to be looking to try and collect that a little bit more once the Kael'thas is back. They're going to be playing safe at this point, though. There's the hook onto the Murden from the Stitches. They have the Jaina... Blizzard. Wow. Zul does get the lockdown onto Jaina. He is really deep into their backline. He does have his Shacklers, I believe he took at one. Yeah, he took Shackler, right? Or Shade, excuse me, Shade. He took Shade at one, so that will be triggered, so he should be able to take avoid that basic attack damage, and he will live right through there. It also provides a decent shield to him, and they will just be going and clearing up this shrine. We do have a DC from Mad Dog. Maybe they're coming back? Okay. We're going to transition to our other screen while we get this connection issue fixed. Oh, never mind. It's already back. Okay. So they're already back into the game. The Skeletal Defenders will be captured on the side of Pandessl00ts2, and their gate is still there. The hook is out, but it does not connect onto any of the members. There is actually a... Ooh. I was wondering if they were going to get it baited over the wall, but Jane is falling extremely low here. Genji does dash in to confirm the kill, dashes back out with that reset onto it. Mad Dog has dropped once again. Are we going to be seeing a pause coming out this time? Nope, instant rejoin. The Punisher does hop onto Valkyrie into that. He's taking significant damage from the Punisher. He will be actually also killed from the Genji too, and this is going to be a dead fort killed by Pandessl00ts2. Alrighty, so you're having some of these members rotating in, and they are going to kill out the Wisp and go ahead and work on getting this camp themselves. Lunara does probably scout it out. There is actually the hook onto Mad Dog himself. He tries to just use his Frost, his Blizzard, to deal so much damage and get away, and it looks like they actually will be able to get away from this engagement. So the hook doesn't confirm the kill. They definitely saved themselves on this one. But at this point, this is a 2.5 level lead on the side of Pandessl00ts2, and those early game kills are really starting to just snowball the damage. There is the lockdown onto the Uther, and the follow-up damage from the Genji is there. They will be getting that kill as well. We are going to be seeing a rotation from Zul to try and push in that mid wave a little bit more. It looks like they're trying to bank on the fact that the next Punisher will be bottom. At this point, it's going to be random between top and mid, so that's extremely smart of what Pandessl00ts is doing. They said, all right, mid was the first Punisher, so it's either bottom or top. So we'll send our Zul top, he'll push in. We're going to be currently killing a Lunara and a Murden, unfortunately. Unfortunately for Phoenix, they're just getting pushed in so hard here, and they really don't have any way of controlling this game. With those couple kills and that fort, though, they are guaranteeing their 10s. We are going to be having the Gorge from the Stitches, the Dragon Blade from the Genji, the Ancestral from the Rhaegar, the Poison Nova from the Zul, and Phoenix from the Kael'thas. With this 3-level lead at this point, they're really just trying to... Well, it looks like Zul's actually just going to be trying to push up this top lane for the next Punisher, which will be top, obviously. The first one was mid. The second one's going to be in top or in bottom, and then this Kerrigan is just going to be falling. And I'm sorry, but just in the funniest manner. So they're going to go ahead and just work down this tower. That will give them the ability to push in into the keep gate on this next Punisher. If they get it, though. You never know. I mean, Phoenix can get their 10s. They can start to just really control the game. What they really need to do is get a lot of lane control. And what Zul's doing so well is just they're playing, as you can see, Pandessl00ts is playing extremely passive. They're coming in when they need to. They see that the Uther rotated away. They got the double kill onto the Lunara and the Jaina. And with that, they are going to be just capturing this. I went down to see what they were doing, just to show that they were capturing all the skeletal defenders and how quickly they were doing it, and Uther falls as well. This is going to be a strong Frozen Punisher pushing into the bottom lane. They've got a nice wave push with them because of the Zool. The passive of just minions dying create the skeletal... I guess they're called skeletal... They're not skeletal defenders, are they? I'll have to look into that after this game. But we are going to be pushing into this keep front gate. Looks like some of the members of Pandessl00ts will be getting a hook onto the Murden, who does hop back over to the wall. The Punisher is baited over. They're going to be trying to drag this over to the keep. Look for them to, after they get it over to this keep, look for them to be trying to pull it over to this mid lane keep to just avoid taking core damage. But currently, there's an aggressive push in from Pandessl00ts. There is the Gorge under one of the members of Phoenix. Murden will be falling here. The Genji does dash back. Uther will be just friendly spinning here, and he will be falling. There is the beautiful Tychus spray on the ground, and it looks like the Punisher has fallen here. There is the hook onto the Jaina. There is no Uther for the death heals, and that is going to be a dead Jaina. Genji does dash in, trying to get that that Lunara, but he will be killed by the tower for a second time. Rip Genji. And it looks like they're going to be going on to core at this point, but the death timers are quite short. They could be potentially losing right here. There is the Divine Storm from the Uther. The Poison Nova from the Zool is doing a ton of damage onto some of these members, but we are having two members dead for Pandessl00ts. They are currently on the retreat. They're on the back foot of this fight. Kael'thas is trying to get so much damage out, avoids the combo from the Kerrigan, dies at the same time. Oh my god. And we are going to be having Zool dying here as well. And so the smart thing that they did right there was, instead of Zool running away towards his towers to get away from the team, he actually baited them throughout their own area. And the smart thing to do about that is, what it does is, if you start to run away towards your gates, the enemy team is already on the warpath to get a kill, and then once they get that kill, there's the mental state of just, oh, we got a kill, let's keep pushing. So then they start pushing, and then that's when the game starts to flow in the other team's favor. So by running around in their base, it delays them so long that the enemy team can get up. And as you can already see, by the time I went through that entire explanation, Pandessl00ts are already up. But at the same time, there is a decent amount of lane pushback that they did achieve on Phoenix. They could have gotten this camp, though. They had the time to get it. It looks like they just kind of laned in bottom and pushed that up just a little bit. That is their prioritization lane at this point, because of the fact that there are catapults that will be rotating in. Looks like we are having the Genji dash in. Not going to be getting any significant amount of damage. He will be getting a few more stacks onto his Shuriken talent at level 4. And speaking of just questing talents, let's take a quick peek at some of the talents that people have taken here. Mana Addict is done by KT. There is actually this lockdown onto the Rhaegar, and we are going to be seeing him fall. The Divine Storm is out. There is a huge Ring of Frost onto two of the members of Pandessl00ts. We are going to be seeing the Stitches falling here as well. Kerrigan is using her ultimate. We are going to be having the Genji falling as well, and that is going to be Lunara dying and the Murden. So this is going to be a 4-for-2 trade. Kael'thas is still alive, and it looks like okay. I was wondering if there was going to be a skirmish between the Kael'thas and the Kerrigan, but at this point they're going to say, you know what? This is going to be ours. We are going to be working for this one. The death timers are long enough where I think they should be able to confirm this, but let's go back to some of these talents here. Uther and Murden haven't picked up their 13 talent yet. I'm curious what they're going to be going into. Huh. So this is 25. I'm just thinking back to this now. It honestly seems like Phoenix is giving this up at this point. They had over halfway through. Bottom, just keep in mind, the longer that Oh, there is the hook onto the Lunara. She does have the hop. There is the cleanse burned onto her. The Ancestral Hill is already used onto the Kael'thas, I believe. There's a Divine Storm onto the Genji, but it will not be able to confirm any kills. We are going to be having the Kerrigan getting... the dash from the Genji is just right on there. I think there was a cleanse onto the Genji, so he is currently just getting back. The Slam is out from the Stitches. That is going to be a dead Muradin. And unfortunately for Phoenix, they were so close, but this is going to be a Punisher working towards that keep, which has already taken a little bit of damage. The big thing that I think Phoenix did in this situation is that they didn't prioritize the Shrine. And even if they got the Shrine and then they backed and they didn't push with it and they got, you know, maybe a gate with it, that's still a gate. And I think that should have been the priority for them. What they did was, I think that they saw that they got a bunch of kills, so they said, you know what, we're going to go back, we're going to play safe, we're going to get healed up. And unfortunately, that bought way too much time for Pandessl00ts, and that gave them the advantage to get back onto the Shrine and really push in with this next Punisher. So this is going to be a keep guaranteed here. We did see the Jaina fall. There is the second leap from the Punisher. The Lunar is getting extremely low. I think the Punisher... Nope, it wasn't baited over to the other keep. There is a hook from the Kael'thas onto the Uther, who will be falling here as well. Muradin is getting healed up by the Ghost Uther. Another hop on to the Lunara from the Punisher. He will be falling here, but this is the core going down to 20%. We are currently... Did I say the third time's the charm? That is going to be Game 3 going over to Pandessl00ts. GGs are called. I'm going to go set up for the next game in the lobby, and we will be right back. I believe the next one should be our last. Alrighty, and here we are into our third and final game of the evening. We have Pandessl00ts on the right. I checked this time. And on the left, we have Phoenix. So, Curse Hollow, our fourth map of the afternoon. I wouldn't be surprised to see a prioritization. And actually, I was just thinking about this, like, once I finally saw last game, who got who, team-wise, because I didn't check before the draft. And I had said in the first game that typically if they don't want it, they ban it out. So it looks like, once again, they are trying to get the Genji. Or forcing the ban onto Genji. Maybe they're trying to get the Stukov themselves? He hasn't been an extreme priority in this matchup between these two teams. It seems like a lot of them haven't really been testing comps with him or really worrying too much about him. We've seen a couple bans, but no picks yet. And I think he's actually gone through one or two of the drafts without completely even being touched ban or pick-wise. Obviously, pick-wise, we haven't casted him. But even ban-wise, I don't think he's been banned every game. So, let's see here, though. Going into this matchup, the Malthael was banned out. I'm curious why they're going to do that. Maybe that's just the tank that they're planning on taking? See, I don't understand Malthael enough to... Well, Stitches is going to be banned out here, so that way they don't have to deal with those hooks. Maybe the Malthael ban was to force them into banning out Genji or someone else, but they're going to ban out the Stitches, so either Pandessl00ts have to pick up the Genji, or they have to... Well, they have to pick it up themselves. But they're actually going to first pick Falstead on this map. Interesting. First pick Falstead. Just I want to note really quickly, one day my beard will look as good as Falstead's. Or Muradin's. Just one day. And then I can cosplay as it and I don't have to use a fake beard. But we're going to have Falstead first pick on the side of Pandessl00ts2. And on the left-hand side, what are they going to be going into here? It's Curse Hollow, so globals are a priority. I'm just, as I'm saying it, I'm like, are they going global team? Because if you take, all right, you take Abathur. Well, first off, you take Falstead, Abathur, Tahaka, Brightwing. That's 4 members. What do you take after that? You take Lost Vikings. It's such a ridiculous thing, and I'm sure that they would not do it. But it's always fun to hope that, like, you could do an all-global team. And, like, Lost Vikings, like, they're not global per se, but they're just in every lane. So I just consider them global at this point. So long as you don't just feed with them. But we're going to have the Greymane variant picked up here. A strong combination between the two heroes. I really like that, actually. I like the Greymane the Greymane variant combination here. That's really, really strong. But before we go into our second ban phase, what are... So Tassadar and Tracer. Interesting. Also, I just want to note this. Like, it wasn't until they put out the summer Tracer skin that, like, I noticed that she was forever duck facing. And I don't know why, but it's just like her pursed lips constantly. It's such a weird thing to see. It's just the way that her mouth has been drawn and animated. It just seems like she's like forever duck face. So ban phase here, we currently have a strong combo of Tassadar Tracer on the side of Pandessl00ts. So they're going to want to try and either hinder the healer pool or the tank pool. They've already taken out the stitches. They have first pick themselves, so if they go ahead, because you don't want to limit your own healers. I think I'm trying to think, like, what do you take at this point? Okay, so they're gonna ban out the Anub'arak. They're gonna say we're gonna put a prioritization on banning out the tanks. Genji's actually going to be banned out in the second phase because it looks like they're not going to be taking it themselves, and they want to get rid of that right away. And that was a very, very, very sure ban onto that Genji. They did not let that falter for very long. Alrighty, so what are they going to be taking? What else do you take with this comp? They have no global. The Brightwing is available. We do know that someone on the side of Phoenix does play Brightwing, so they can take that to have that global. Dahaka's still open as well, so I personally say, like, just take the Dahaka Brightwing. That's my 2 cents. And then that way you can flex with your 5th pick. And it's probably going to be just a ranged assassin at that point. Brightwing is there, and actually Vala, so they're actually not going to be taking the Dahaka. The priority on the Vala is better, I guess. It's just I think that like it's not that it's like a bad pick or anything. It's just I think that the Dahaka might have been a stronger grab because I feel like Pandessl00ts are gonna prioritize that with a Arthas as well. Not even close. All right, well, Bahamut will stop trying to guess what Pandessl00ts are going to do. I got it right in the first game, and I had a lot of confidence with myself, and then I think I nailed, like, one other one at some point in the draft, and now I'm just all... I mean, a first pick Falstad threw me off just to begin with, and a Kharazim? I'm very interested to see how Kharazim's going to be played. I would assume that the main healer is going to be playing Kharazim, and... we're just going to have someone playing. I did cast these guys last night, so I'm thinking we're probably going to have Hedgie on the Tassadar? We'll see. All right. But the one thing I do want to note, their draft has primarily been, besides a couple core heroes, they have not really repeated a lot of the same stuff in a lot of their drafts. So the pools that they have on the side of Pandessl00ts is very terrifying. But even on the same note, for Phoenix, a lot of their drafts have been quite different. So it looks like a lot of the teams are trying out a lot of things, seeing if what works, what's the best. And there are the Lost Vikings. What? They're going to run solo variant? I would have thought you would have wanted to have, like, another bruiser with him. Like, I was thinking, like, you'd pick up the Sonya, the Arthas, but the Lost Vikings? There is no Zeratul. There's... I'm trying to think, like... Tracer's gonna be a strong counter to this. But on the left-hand side, we are going to have Phoenix with Valkyl on the Lost Vikings, Goatchez on Varian, Mad Dog on Vala, Exile on Greymane, Chevalin on Brightwing. And on the right-hand side, we're going to have Pandessl00ts2 with Kharazim on Zalchio, Zalchio on Kharazim, Veteran Wings on Tassadar, Rexpa on Tracer, Titans King on Murden, and Hedgie on Falstead. So they actually ended up putting their... they put up Veteran Wings on Tassadar. I was thinking that it would be Hedgie on the Tassadar, but it's actually going to be on the Falstead again. I think he was on Falstead in the Braxis holdout match, too. While we count down to the entry of this game, let's take a quick peek at some of these talents. Kharazim is going into the damage build. It looks like it's the standard build from the we typically see from him. Falstead is going into the Seasoned Marksman. I remembered at this time. Tracer's taking her Pulse rounds. Murden is taking his Third Wind. Looks like Greymane is going to his Cocktail build. Vala is going into the Hot Pursuit. What are Vikings going to take?
Let the battle begin.
Do you take Double Bribe on this map? Because I feel like that might be a waste. You'd want that Z cooldown. That's what I would think you'd take. On my way to core. So we're instantly going to see the Vikings already splitting into lanes, and the one thing that they're going to say is, you know what? You got us a couple times on some XP, on experience differences. We're going to go ahead and just soak with some Vikings. We're going to see an aggressive, excuse me, not aggressive, actually, a huge aggressive posturing from Phoenix. They are going to be collapsing upon some of the members of the Pandessl00ts2, and they also got very aggressive and stole away the vision from Phoenix on their side. So Greymane will be taking a significant amount of damage here. Looks like some of the members are just going to be playing safe. We're going to have Tassadar already going back in this top lane. This Viking Balog is going to be currently getting pushed back. We're going to have Olaf in mid, but Mad Dog will be falling by the Tracer. And unfortunately, that is not going to be a very good start for the game for Phoenix. That Vala dying is a significant amount of damage in these fights, falling. And we are having them collapse even further. And Balog will be dying in top, actually. Exile is getting so low. He gets kicked by the Kharazim, and he will be falling. He can dash to one of the minions or one of the team members. And that will be also Olaf falling as well. And this is what I was talking about, the Tracer. And even the Falstead, I should note that as well. Falstead is easily going to be able to push back the Balog in top, and Tracer's going to be able to melt the Olaf in mid. And Eric in bottom, it looks like he should be falling. Yep, that's Eric falling in bottom. So we're primarily going to be watching this mid engagement because we're going to have the Vikings in top and bottom, so they're going to be pushing a 4-man into mid. But with that, they almost get the kill onto the Varian, but the protection saves him at the last minute from that pulse round from the Tracer. Excuse me, Pulse Bomb, I believe it is? I'm pretty sure. And she actually just took Untouchable. No, it makes sense. Against the Vikings, taking Untouchable is extremely smart because of the fact that if you're getting these Viking kills, you're going to be stacking these very quickly. We already having the Tracer in bottom, blinking in, getting that kill, and they are going to be trying to build those stacks as quickly possible. So look to see a lot of rotations out of the Tracer. And at this point at 2:30, we are going to be having the Curse popping any second. There is the hard camp, or the soft camp, already stolen or picked up by Pandessl00ts2. To push in that bottom wave as the Curse, hopefully for them, pops in top. Hopefully for Phoenix, pops in bottom. But that is going to be an Olaf killed who is in the bush. He's actually going to get bodied so hard he goes through the wall. This is going to be a gate getting pressured by Pandessl00ts2. Phoenix will zone them back. Balog will be falling in top. And that is going to be Falstead pushing into top as well. In bottom, we are currently having Eric work back this wave, but we also have the Curse point already here. The rotations from the team, actually, they know that they can't make it on time. Tassadar provides the vision, and they turn around at the last second. Unfortunately for Pandessl00ts, they cannot go for another engagement. And looks like Titans King is just going to be waiting in the bush for Eric to just be a little too far up. They do zone it, and he actually jumps over the wall, but without any shots onto the tower left, they're definitely be able to save the Murden there. There was a 4-man rotation into this top lane to try and get a pick onto Hedgie, but it looks like that's not going to work out. They are going to be putting their Olaf back into top. The Balog will be going into mid, and it looks like he's doing this Tassadar. Okay, he has the dimensional shift. That's what I was wondering. He has the dimensional shift out, but unfortunately Greymane came in and confirmed the kill. Meanwhile, though, in bottom, let's take a quick peek at this. We do have a fort already falling at 4 minutes. This is Tracer scouting this out, though, so she will see that the rotation is coming. They're going to go ahead and... It looks like they're trying to bait it with the Muradin, but he's falling extremely low. He does have a leap. There it is. There is the polymorph onto the Brightwing, and Tracer's body will just fly across the map. She will be losing... She's all the way over there. She will be losing all of her untouchable stacks, so at this point she will be needing to build those back up. Checking in with some of the stats as well. We are having the bribe onto the Vikings, actually the Unfurling Spray again from the Brightwing. So I was thinking that maybe she would take the cooldown reduction on the Z. I guess it's not the range is good and all, but I just think that having that cooldown on the Z, you can just get around the map faster. It's like that Vala. I'm talking about talents here, and just Vala just got absolutely just erased there. But the one thing that I wanted to note that was really, really important is that the Z talents for the Brightwing on a map like this, it's like not taking Epic Mount or Apex Predator from Falstead or Dahaka. It's like without those talents, those heroes are so... They're not weak, but they're hindered at 20, in my opinion. Taking the extended gust at 20 for Falstead, it's great, but that's only if, like, I would only take that talent if I knew 100% that I was going to be capturing, or I was going to be winning the game. Otherwise, it's always Epic Mount because you want to be able to get around the map faster, and so that's what I would think that you take with the Brightwing. You'd be able to, the CDRs that you get in these team fights from the level 1 talent on the cooldown reduction is so great because of the fact that you have these cooldowns because your team is currently running as a 5-man. Then you can Z into a team fight, get vision, see where the team is coming in, as well as provide shielding to one of the members as you're going into this fight. Greymane will be falling here as well from the Tracer, getting extremely sticky onto some of these members. Do they confirm the kill onto the Varian? He actually charges back in. Veteran Wing, or excuse me, Titan's King comes in. There is a backline gust into the Varian and the Vala, and they will be confirming those 2 kills as well. And this is going to be Curse Point on the side of Pandessl00ts2 with a dominating control on this map against the Vikings. We are going to be having bottom pushed back up by that little Eric, and looks like we are having the Baylog coming back into mid, and Olaf is still in top. Falstead is just working away some of those sidewalls, and what the important thing is these don't provide any experience, or, I mean, they pad your stats a little bit, but what it does also provide is that if you take that away, Tracer looks like she wants to get another stack of her untouchable here. She currently is 5, and this is going to be a dead Eric, unfortunately. So Falstead is going to be capturing this point already. Tassadar does provide a good amount of vision to make sure that the team does know who's coming in where. Falstead should have flight at this point, should be able to go straight to top, clear that up. Nope, is actually going to be flying in, trying to confirm the kill onto Goaches, but it's not going to be working out for them, unfortunately. Muradin does hop over the wall, and this is actually a... At this point, at the start of this curse phase, it's pretty good for Phoenix. They do have a lot of lane pressure in top and mid, but unfortunately, they are going to be losing one of the members of the Vikings, which will hinder the experience gain that they are trying to kind of work towards. But they are at their 10s, so they can take this fight and this defense on this curse point. Olaf will be falling in top to the Falstead, who went up there for the clean. In bottom, it looks like we have the Greymane and the Eric, who we're going to have actually Eric coming up into mid for this defense. Tracer actually gets one of the pulse rounds up onto the Brightwing, but it looks like the Brightwing will be fine. The Palm actually was cast, but not triggered onto the Tracer there. There is a huge explosion of damage out from the Falstead onto the Olaf and the Baylog. We are going to lose 2 members of the Vikings, the Brightwing as well. And this is going to be a keep at 8 minutes, I think. This is going to be a 9-minute keep at this point. Vala will be falling as well. So all that's left is Greymane. Muradin is extremely low, but he can let his level 1 talent that he took, the Third Wind, proc and provide him just a little bit more healing a lot quicker. And personally for me, that's the talent that I always take at level 1 because I need it, because I need that band-aid when I play this video game. And at this point, with the 3-level lead, they're going to go ahead, Hearth back, get full, and they're going to be waiting for this next cursed phase, I think, to be pushing in for a win. On the side of Phoenix, though, the Vikings are providing a significant amount of XP generation. Let's take a quick peek at... does it show XP? Siege, Hero, it does not show XP. That needs to be added in. Please, Blizzard, make your spectator stuff a little bit better for us. We are going to be having Tracer going into this backline onto the Baylog. Will not be getting the kill, but there is the taunt from the Varian, and Tracer will be falling here. That is the stacks being lost on the side of her. There is the leap from the Murden, which saves him from getting killed by the enemy team. But at this point, Phoenix is going to go ahead and say, we've got boss, because we've got a kill on the Tracer. And at the same time, it looks like we have the Tassadar, who is going to be getting this hard camp. And should be hearthing back after this. Yep, going to be hearthing back to get full. Olaf will be falling, I believe, in top. Yep, to the Falstead. They're really just trying to push up with us as much as they can, but unfortunately, Falstead has just been all over the map. And this is AFK Viking for 2 seconds. He was trying to micro his Baylog, who was trying to get away from the Murden, but unfortunately that's going to be a Baylog falling as well. That is a stun onto the Murden. Does he have a leap? He's going to be taunted. There is the palm onto him. He does have his avatar form, though, so that should be able to save him. Okay, so they make it out just fine. Not a problem for them at all. And just a flying Murden is very terrifying. We do have Mad Dog dropping here. Will we have a pause? Does not look like it. Falstead actually gusts back just the baby Baylog. Oh, excuse me, and the Vala. I missed that one. Vala will be pushed back as well, and it looks like we are currently having a death march towards the core in this mid with the hard camp and a couple of these catapults. Actually, excuse me, they're gonna... By the way, I just want to note, they let that boss just push him at bottom. They said it was a 9-minute boss. It's whatever. We'll let it push. We're gonna be very aggressive here, and I mean, it got half a fort. Excuse me, I missed the Eric dying there. I believe it was in top against the Tracer. Yes. So she is currently working back up those untouchable stacks. She's currently at 4. Just looking at this. Falstead is almost at a season marksman stack. And I was just realizing that the Lost Vikings into the Tracer and the Falstead is very, very hard to actually play because of the fact that Falstead can just take the Seasoned Marksman and get a ton of stacks off the kills of the Vikings, as well as the Untouchable from the Tracer is doing work currently. There is a huge flight from Falstead into this line with a gust right into that corner. They confirm the kill onto another member. The Vikings are trying to stay alive, but that is going to be a team wipe against Phoenix, and this is going to be the death march towards the core at this point. This looks like someone's clearing their throat, and it's been good. GGs are thrown out, and that is going to be our last game, going over to Pandessl00ts2. Alrighty, and that is going to be the end of our stream. Thank you so much for coming by and watching.